guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. So, you know how we watch Judge Fleischer a lot, and we keep saying, oh man, it would be great if we could have seen him when he was a lawyer. It would have been great if we could just see him when he was a lawyer. And I heard he was a defense attorney. So, I found a clip, not of Judge Fleischer. It's not of Judge Fleischer. But if we just imagine just a little bit, if we just try to imagine just a little bit, this clip really could be us looking at Judge Fleischer when he was a lawyer. I don't know. So what it is they're trying to suppress evidence. So it's a hearing to suppress some evidence. Okay? It's not a trial. We won't get any verdict or anything. Actually, she takes all the testimony and everything, and then she's going to decide at a later time. So we don't even know what she's going to say, but we know what she's going to say. She is not suppressing any of this evidence. Don't worry. That's a guess on my part. But so what this clip is, though, is, you know how when we watch Judge Fleischer, he says that, I have you down here, but you got bigger fish to fry upstairs. Upstairs is the felonies, the worst crimes, not the misdemeanors. So what this is upstairs. I got a clip of one of the courtrooms upstairs. And from what I think is the guy who had a warrant out on him had a warrant out for murder. Okay? So he had a warrant out for murder, and the police went to a house where they thought he was at, a gang house, a drug house, to serve this warrant. And the defense attorney is trying to get all the evidence that the police got, kicked out of he wants it all suppressed. He doesn't want them to be able to use any of it. So that's where we're at. We're going to hear some testimony from some police officers, and then that's pretty much it. If you don't like it, if it's boring, I have other clips ready. I didn't think it was boring, and I really have a great imagination. So I literally could just make this attorney Judge Fleischer the whole time. He's not as flamboyant. He's not. But there's enough there that I could just say, oh, yep, that's Judge Fleischer, and he was an attorney, and it was amazing. I thought it was great. If you guys don't like it, let me know, and I'll put other clips on. But here we go. We're going in. Can you guess which attorney it is?
Speculation.
The guy who just stood up and said objection, speculation. We see him in Judge Fleischer's courtroom sometimes. Yes, we do.
The answer is
That's what's in the search warrant.
No, they presented a significant number of additional facts in that search warrant affidavit after the protective sweep and before.
Well, right now we're just talking about the protective sweep. He said the reason Spinks attested to the fact that based on the observed illegal narcotics and number of occupants within the residence, the search was completed on the residence, period. That's what's in the search warrant affidavit.
Okay. Objection relevance, Judge. If we're talking about the protective sweep, the contents of the search warrant doesn't have it.
Well, it's
so the search warrant is in because in evidence, so that's
okay. And you can't.
Let me get that for you.
The question. That's what's in. That's why y'all did it, right?
No.
Okay. And
yes, Jen.
So then you go in and start searching in the house, and you see this other contraband, right? You see drugs.
And then the sweep of the house, there's other contraband. Right?
Okay. Can you tell me with respect to the marijuana, any affirmative link that connects Mr. Rosas to any of the marijuana?
His Instagram account will be the biggest affirmative link that makes sense to marijuana.
Okay, but at the time you see it, there's nothing that links into the marijuana.
Proximity to his room would be the next link.
Okay, so he has a room.
He doesn't appear to have a room on the first floor.
Okay, and how do you connect that room with Rosas?
Rosas' connection to the room is a poster board on the wall that's like a photo board, and there's a number of photos that specifically, the reason I would think it was Rosas' room, but there's other IDs and stuff in there, so there's a board on the wall, and the board has lots of photographs that prominently feature Rosas.
Okay, so it appeared that he stayed there quite a bit, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. And then as you're performing the protection sweep, you go into, you present when the officers have gone into the kitchen area. At approximately 9 minutes and 10 seconds on the timestamp, there was officers had gone into the kitchen area, right?
Yes.
And they had opened the dishwasher, right?
Sure.
Okay. And how many times in your career have you found people hiding in a dishwasher?
Dishwasher specifically, I have not found somebody.
0, right?
0 for myself, yes.
Okay. And you didn't have any information that somebody had modified the dishwasher for people to hide in it, right? In this case.
In this case, no.
Okay. And then how many times, and you agree with me also at 9 minutes and 10 seconds, that the oven's opened up in the kitchen, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how many times in your career have you found people hiding in the kitchen oven?
I have not found somebody in a kitchen oven specifically.
Okay. Did you have any information that the kitchen oven in the zone have been modified to hide a person?
No.
Okay. And also at 9 minutes and 10 seconds, officers had gone in and opened up the refrigerator. And how many times in your career have you found people hiding in the refrigerator?
I found somebody hiding in the refrigerator at least once in training.
Okay. In training?
Yes.
Okay. Any time in your real world experience have you found somebody hiding in a refrigerator?
Personally, during an operation, I have not.
Okay, so 0 times also. And so, can you understand what I'm getting at? That you can't go looking for contraband or protective sweep. Sweep is extremely limited, right?
Yes, I don't think anybody was looking for contraband. They were just looking at whole objects, picking up the whole person.
Okay. The oven, the dishwasher, and the refrigerator.
Correct.
Okay.
This was just a couple days ago.
And when the sweep's taking,
That's what I was thinking.
when the sweep's taking place, is anybody working on the search warrant at this point in time?
No.
Okay. And then ultimately, and then what you get testified to is that the reason that you testified on direct examination that the reason that one of the reasons that a search warrant wasn't drafted
These planes are hiding in the refrigerator.
was that there was a bunch of time that it would take to process all the people that came out of the house. You testified to that, right?
Yes.
And so it was that would take too much time and it would endanger officers to get a search warrant to go into the house, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. But you would agree with me from the time that Mr. Smith was arrested at 5 minutes and 53 seconds, it's in between the 6 minute and 50 seconds, that the entry was made for the suite, there was absolutely nothing that was done in an attempt to get a search warrant to go into the house, right?
In the minute.
Yes, sir. In that period of time. Yes, sir.
No, there wouldn't have been, the scene wasn't secure yet.
Okay, and there's at least 12 officers out there.
Yes.
Okay, everybody had come out of the house, right?
Oh, no.
Okay, you didn't see anything, hear anything that indicated to you that there were any other human beings in the house, right?
It was quiet, correct?
Okay, didn't see anything, hear anything that indicated that there were any people that posed a danger to you at that point in time, right?
It was quiet.
Okay. And then you observed all the contraband as you were performing this protective sweep, and then you backed out of the house, and that's when you applied for the search warrant to go back in, right?
Correct.
Fascinating.
I'm really good. Officer Anders, just because someone's not making noise or visible, does that mean that they could not completely ambush or attack officers from their residence?
Correct. It's been my experience multiple times that people don't want to be out in the police tend to not make noises or things along those lines until they decide on that.
And does that have any bearing on how vulnerable you or the other officers in the scene would have been if someone was hiding inside being quiet?
The fact that they're quiet, no, it doesn't have any bearing.
And is there any way you could have possibly known whether there was potentially a dangerous person inside that residence without doing a protective sweep?
No.
Is that why it's standard procedure for officers in these types of situations to take that step to ensure they're safe?
Yes.
That's what it's.
Anything further?
No, for this one.
Yeah, this is
This one. Yes, sir.
Either of you need a small break for lunch or can we go further?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gordon, you may call your next.
City Hall's Melvin Spinks.
Melvin Spence. Oh, yeah. Good afternoon. Will you please raise your right hand?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony which you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes.
Come on down, sir. Have a seat. And please lean into the mic so we can all hear you. Thank you. Mr. Comfortable,
Thank you, Josh. Can you please state your full name for the record and introduce yourself to the board?
My name is Melvin Gerald Spinks III.
And I see you wearing a uniform. How are you currently employed here?
With the Houston Police Department.
How long have you been employed with the Houston Police Department?
Approximately 8 years.
What's your current assignment with HPD?
I currently work for the crime suppression team in North Houston, along with the SWAT.
And how long have you been doing duty with the HPD SWAT team?
Going on my third year.
Were you employed with the Houston Police Department back on August 14th of 2020?
Yes.
And were you involved in the execution of an arrest warrant for Johnny Smith in Heights?
Yes.
Was that at 1205 West 16th Street, unit number 4?
Yes.
And is that a location in Harris County, Texas?
Yes.
Why were y'all up there? What was the nature of the warrant that y'all were trying to execute?
It was an arrest warrant. I'm familiar with the particulars of this time. I did it a long time ago.
I was going to show you what has been marked a little bit in the State's Exhibit number 1. Was it an arrest warrant for Johnny Smith?
Yes.
Would this have been for cause number 1582916?
Yes.
And then going on to look at State's Exhibit number 4, number 5, and number 6, do these show the location where y'all went to try to effect the arrest of Johnny Smith pursuant to that warrant?
Yes.
Okay. So can you describe,
It was a whiteboard, and I had a pencil.
let's back up a little bit. So you mentioned that you currently work with HPD SWAT. Did you have to have special training to be part of that unit?
Yes.
Can you describe the training that you received to the court?
The Houston Police Department SWAT team is considered a tier 1 status team, which there's only a selected few in the whole United States that have the capabilities and manpower of completing. It takes yearly training from.
Facts. Houston SWAT is legit, guys. Legit. Never do anything. Never commit a crime in Houston that requires the SWAT team, because you're screwed. If you come to Lancaster, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Yes, we got a SWAT team, but not like Houston. They're like the Green Beret of SWAT, the Navy SEALs of SWAT. So yeah, don't never ever mess with the SWAT team in Houston. You're gonna. Should we SWAT somebody? No, just kidding. Don't do that.
Each month, a week-long training of various different aspects. Serving warrants being one of those.
And did you have a significant amount of training to be able to work as part of HPD SWAT team?
Prior, yes.
And did you receive specialized training relating to officer safety, and especially with as it relates to the execution of arrest warrants?
Yes.
Now, when a suspect is being arrested pursuant to a warrant in a murder case, is that a risk factor that officers would consider?
In that particular case, yes.
That's why I think this is a murder case, because it was a hypothetical, but I think that they were trying to serve a warrant for someone who they believe they said that he committed murder. So 12 of them went. 12 of them went to this house to serve this one warrant, because they knew it was a gang house and they knew it was a drug house. And what happened was, when they opened the front door, they saw drugs. They saw marijuana. So they went in.
So if we can back up and talk specifically about the August 14th, 2020 date, where the arrest warrant was executed for Johnny Smith, were you involved? Like, was there a safety briefing before you all went out to that location?
Yes.
What was the nature of the safety briefing?
The suspect at the time, Johnny Smith, has priors for murder. So we knew this house to also be related to a very violent young gang house as well. And we had information and knowledge that gang members were frequently visiting that location.
And had there been recent prior arrests of gang members at or around this location?
Yes.
Those individuals who were arrested, I guess it was the day prior, were all of them accounted for at the time that y'all went to go and execute the arrest warrant on August 14th of 2020?
I believe so.
Okay. Did y'all, while you were staging to attempt to execute the arrest warrant, did you guys have any idea how many people were inside the house?
No.
Was there any possible way for y'all to know that information?
No.
And without knowing that, was there anything about the layout or the architecture of the residence or immediate area where the arrest warrant was to be served that would potentially present a safety risk to officers in that location?
The information that we had was that they controlled at least one of these homes, which is a multi-story residence. That in itself caused a threat for having a dedicated shooter from a elevated platform with the unknown information if they had an additional residence nearby, which we just don't know until you know.
Okay. So, were you wearing a body worn camera during the execution of the warrant on that day?
Yes.
So I want to draw your attention to the video from State's Exhibit number 8.
We can hear it, but we won't see the video. It's sort of,
Oh, right, yes, again. Is this file
Here.
correspond to your body camera video from that date?
Yes.
So I'm going to move forward to about 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and we'll play State's 8 from here.
You gotta run the order, guys, set it up, we're in here.
Now, can you describe the reason that the officers are taking the steps that they're taking at that location at that time?
Announcing ourselves to let them know that there is law enforcement in the vicinity, so that nobody's confused that this may be a gang raid or anything like that. And the movement that my partner and I are making here to ensure that there's no parties exiting any windows or potentially being an area where they can flank our officers.
So we don't necessarily want all this, but after you all staged and the officers started giving commands over the loudspeaker, did a number of individuals comply with the officer's command and exit the residence?
Yes.
And was it for this type of house, was it a large number or small number of people?
Large number.
When you've got a larger than, I guess a substantial number of people that exit a residence pursuant to this type of investigation, is it necessary for officers to detain them and maintain control of the scene?
somebody try and see if we can see. He has a watch on one wrist, but see if maybe he might have beads on the other. I didn't see beads. I'm not saying I saw beads. I'm saying that would be really cool.
Yes.
Do those individuals need to be identified?
Yes.
And why do they need to be identified?
We need to know who that we're detaining and for any possible warrants as well.
Okay. And can it take time to process a scene involving, 6, 7 individuals leaving a house under these types of circumstances?
Yes.
Would that necessitate officers remaining at the scene while those processes are completed?
Yes.
And can you ask how long might that take in these kinds of situations?
Perfect scene, at least an hour or two.
And so I'm going to move us forward a little bit here to about 5 minutes and 35 seconds. When you're in this type of circumstance with other officers, trying to secure a scene while a warrant is being executed, is there a manner of communication that officers engage in specific to this type of circumstance?
Yes.
Can you explain what that is before and why it's done?
So when you're about to enter a residence where someone could potentially be setting an ambush or essentially hunting you, you have to eliminate as many obstacles in your own way as well as your teammates' way, which ultimately means that your teammates are probably going to be saying things that they see, that they smell, that they hear. That's
how we enter the house together as a team to fight off the cats.
So that it takes away from any kind of guessing game. It allows that officer to be able to process faster despite being constantly introduced to new information that's presenting itself at a very quick nature.
And it's just to try to keep all the officers on the same page because it is a dangerous situation.
Yes.
Now, around this part of the video, for approximately 5 minutes and 40 seconds, does Officer Dougherty make a comment while you're part of the staff on the doorway?
Yes.
Now, in terms of the status of the city at that point, is there any significance to Officer Dougherty reporting that he's seen items consistent with narcotics in plain view?
It's illegal substance to plain view. It's also, again, more information that he's passing off to his teammates that could potentially mean that people inside could be dedicated to hide if there is illegal evidence inside there or protected.
So, I want to show you a couple of photos. So let's start with State's Exhibit number 20. A little bit hard to see here, but here toward the bottom of State's Exhibit number 20, is there a small baggie visible inside the residence before you all made entry?
Yes.
And did you make any other observations prior to making entry to the house about whether narcotics may be present?
Once that phone number came up, and it was very plainly evident that the marijuana is very strong odor.
Okay. And were you able to tell whether the odor was emitting from that specific residence?
Yes.
Okay. And when you're evaluating the significance of an item like this baggie that you can see here at the bottom of State's 20, does the presence of the strong odor of marijuana have any significance in terms of what that item might be?
Repeat that.
I guess what if any significance does the presence of the strong odor of marijuana have when you find a baggie like this inside a residence?
Gives us an indication that there's going to be illegal narcotics and that baggie probably contains some kind of illegal narcotic.
Okay. Is that a typical way that drugs or narcotics are packaged?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we look at State's Exhibit number 19, was there also a cardboard box containing some items consistent with the presence of narcotics visible from outside of the residence while you were staged?
Visible from inside the box, through the box visible.
What was the box?
Yes.
And do you recall whether there were any items poking out of the box that you could see prior to going into the house that are consistent with narcotics being present?
Yes.
What did you see?
Vacuum sealable bags.
And if we look at State's Exhibit number 9, can we see an example of that kind of bag inside of that box?
Yes.
Okay. So, seeing these types of items inside the residence prior to making entry, is that evidence that could potentially factor into a search warrant to search the residence?
Yes.
Would it have been practical for y'all to stop everything and go and work on a search warrant, given the state of the scene at this time when those items were first observable?
No.
And that's the problem. That's why we're having this hearing. What the defense is saying is that, okay, the SWAT team goes and serves this warrant. They knock on the door. They yell, "Police, we're here for Andrew Reed," or whatever his name is. "Open up, come out with your hands up." "Police, we're here for Andrew Reed. Open up, come out with your hands up." And then they sort of surround it so that nobody can leave. Okay? And eventually the door opens. They see marijuana, right? As soon as the door opens, they see marijuana. And then a bunch of people come out. Well, because they see marijuana and a bunch of people come out, they start getting, some of them are getting the names of who's outside. I don't know if he was outside or not. I don't know. But the rest of them are like, okay, let's go. We got to do a security sweep to make sure we got everybody. And they go in. The defense is saying, whoa, 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 no. With 12 of you there, you should have stopped everything, got a search warrant, and then did your security sweep. That's the whole problem. That's why the younger Judge Fleischer says, no, we can't have any of this evidence, and it's all got to be thrown out.
Why not?
The threat's still there.
And when you say the threat, can you describe, articulate what you're referring to?
Based upon the amount of people that are coming out of that residence, we don't know who's left, and it could be potentially somebody that's one of the people that I indicated. Right?
I have a new contraption. I have a new mic. It goes like right across my face like this. So I can get rid of this. And I was trying to get it working, but I couldn't get it working. So I had to put this back in, which is probably why it's all not great. But I'm going to get this working, so don't worry. Or I'm going to buy something else quickly, because I think my camera and my headset are at the end of their days. But I didn't get it working. You know why I didn't get it working? I know, I paused it. I paused the video and I'm going to tell a story. I know. But this is why I didn't have time to get it working. I stream at 4:30 a.m. my time. Well, around 1:30 a.m., when I should be working on my mic, I look at my banister going down the stairs and it's loose. Okay? Now, I know I've told you guys this before. I don't know why it's loose. And then I put my cat shelf up in my living room and it fell. And I'm like, I know I got it in the studs. I don't know why it fell. Well, I figured out today why the banister became loose and why my cat shelf fell down. Now, the med folk, you're not going to understand why I made this mistake. A big mistake. But I understand why I did it. And I figured it out all by myself, what I did wrong. And I fixed it. All right? My walls are drywall. My walls are drywall. And then there's these studs. All right? So I went and I bought a stud finder. And I found the studs. And then I go to the store to buy the wood for the shelves and everything. And I cut the wood. And I buy these brackets. And I buy screws, right? My walls are drywall. And I see these drywall anchors at there. And I thought, what? I have drywall. These are drywall anchors. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. So I drill the screw and the drywall anchor into the stud. Okay, so what's supposed to happen is when you use drywall anchors, they're supposed to go through the drywall and then like open up to give more support behind the drywall to hang something. It said drywall anchor. I had drywall. So I bought them and I thought, this is great. So I'm looking at my banister the other day and I'm like, wait a second. If I'm going into the stud, it's the only thing holding the banister up was the drywall anchor spirals. And that's not possible. It doesn't work. All you need when you find that stud is the screw. That's it. That's all you need is a wood screw. You need a wood screw. You don't need to get fancy. You don't need to do things that are hard. But just so you know, yeah, I messed up. I put a drywall anchor over my screw, and then it fell apart and it didn't work. But in the end, I got there. My banister is beautiful right now. I could probably hang off of it, but I won't. But I didn't have time to fix my shelf because once you screw a screw into a drywall anchor and then screw that into a stud, it's really damn difficult to back that screw out of that anchor. So all my brackets have this drywall anchor stick. I can't unscrew it all, and I'm stripping all the screws trying to unscrew it. So I got my is a miter saw the one where you put it in the miter box and then you go back and forth. It's not like electric. I got the saw that you put in like the miter box, and then so I'm trying to cut the drywall anchor off of these screws, and I was just getting the banister back up again. I was drenched. I was dripping, but I was so happy that I figured it out and I got my banister hung up again, and it's perfect. Yeah, I made a mistake, but just because you don't know how to do something doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just go do it until you get it right, guys. Just go do it. And now I know you don't use a drywall anchor on drywall if you're going into the stud. And now we all know. Okay, where were we? We were working. Oh, yeah. So that's why I didn't get my new headset set up, because I was busy. I was busy trying to fix this.
Protect that evidence or protect himself and be going into custody.
Okay. And could that result in an ambush or another attack on law enforcement officials that are required to remain on scene?
Yes.
Hey, Pat
I
Downs,
didn't need to.
Pat Downs, gather information, number 3. Let's go.
So is that Officer Downey that's speaking here?
Yes.
And when he's saying pat downs, gather information, are those sort of the steps that you had described that are required to process the scene before it can be, closed up and the investigation concluded?
Yes.
That was Houston SWAT yelling SWAT. That should invoke terror in these people. I think that's why they all came out, because they heard that one word, SWAT, and they're in Houston.
Anyone else inside? Help yourself, come down. Your hands up. Let's go. Going down. We're going to see what I'm going to go first. You want and you go right back. Then we're going to I'll give you the phone. Upstairs. Downstairs. And bring it on that is behind that fire.
So why was it necessary to do a protective sweep at that point based on the information you had?
We don't know who's lying.
And when you're conducting a protective sweep, are you looking for searching places that are large enough for a person to potentially be concealed?
Yes.
And does that always, mean that people are in, bedrooms or closets or bathrooms, places where you would ordinarily expect to find a person living in a house?
Yes.
Is it also important to search places that are, unusual to find a person, but where someone may hide?
Yes.
And, throughout your time as a police officer, have you located suspects in kitchen cabinets or appliances or other locations that are uninspected.
Yes.
Have you executed arrest or search warrants in locations where artificial or sort of aftermarket hideouts were added, or, a structure was altered or an appliance was altered so a person could hide?
Yes.
Does a court reporter have to take down a video? So court reporter says everything they're saying. That video just played and the police were screaming, "Come out with your hands up." Does the court reporter have to get that down, or can they just say, "Listen to video"?
Is it important for officers to check those locations as well?
Yes.
Why?
Those are where the drugs know that they can hide, they know they can set ambush points and they build it in their own homes.
Do you all have any way to know what you're going to find inside that residence before you go make entry and check it room by room?
No.
Is there any way to conduct the remainder of the investigation after all these people have surrendered, unless you do that systematic protective sweep of the residence?
No.
So, as the protective sweep continued, I'm going to show you some photographs here. Did y'all locate additional contraband evidence inside the residence?
Yes.
And so is this an example of what we see here in states 10
Yes.
and states 11?
Yes.
States 15?
Yes.
And states 16,
Yes.
17,
Yes.
and 18.
Yes.
Now, when y'all were conducting the protective sweep, was the goal to locate narcotics?
No.
What was the goal?
Make sure all the scene is safe.
And was the discovery of the narcotics within the residence inadvertent?
Yes.
When you all started to note the presence of all these deposits, all these locations where narcotics were located, did you make a decision, you and other officers at the scene, to seek a search warrant?
Yes.
And did you end up signing off on presenting, swearing to an affidavit to a magistrate or a judge to review about whether a search warrant is appropriate?
Yes.
And were you able to get judicial approval to search that residence based on the information you relayed?
Yes.
Six, seven. Thank you for Council Judge. Let me show you State's Exhibit number 7.
Wow.
And we'll
Okay.
start
Whew.
here for purposes of the record. This is page 3, State 7. Is this your signature on the document here?
Yes.
And this is from the date of the investigation?
Yes.
And if we look at the second page, does it show photograph of the place to be searched?
Yes.
So is this the same warrant from that investigation?
Yeah.
Now, when you're going to conduct a protective sweep, I guess, is a protective sweep different than a full systematic search once a judge has signed off on the warrant and given judicial approval?
Yes.
And are you required to include the information that would have necessitated a protective sweep in a search warrant affidavit?
Like things that we just done.
Yeah, like the safety factors that you talked about initially.
Yes.
Well, you don't need to though, right?
No.
Are they separate legal questions?
Yes.
Okay. So when you presented the search warrant and relayed the facts to the magistrate for review, did you include information that you observed during the execution of the protective sweep?
Yeah,
Did you also include information, facts relevant to the presence of narcotics that you observed before the protective sweep?
yes,
And does that relate back to these, narcotics related items that were observable in that front entryway?
yes.
That's what.
Okay, remember, we're pretending this is young Judge Fleischer when he was a lawyer. All right?
How long have you been a police officer?
Approximately 8 years.
Okay. And you received training in the Fourth Amendment, right?
Yes,
Okay. And you'd agree with me in this situation. We start out with presumption that the search was unconstitutional because it was conducted without a warrant, right?
unconstitutional.
You understand, right?
I do understand that, yes.
Okay. And what we're going to talk about this afternoon is whether or not there was an exception to this requirement that you get a search warrant, right?
Yes,
And you would agree with me that performing a protective sweep is not an automatic right that you possess as a police officer, right?
yes,
Okay? That it is not.
that is not.
Okay. And in this case, you had signed a sworn document, right? And
Yes,
you had indicated that that the reason that you went into the residence based on this protective sweep was number one, because you observed illegal narcotics. That was the first reason you put, right?
for the protective suite,
Yes, sir.
they do everything, yes.
Okay. And you'd agree with me that that standing alone doesn't justify the warrantless entry into a home, right?
Yes,
And then the second thing that you put was the number of occupants in the residence. And with respect to these occupants in the residence, when the residents came out, none of them were armed, right?
yes,
They were all cooperative, right?
yes,
And you would agree with me that the number of occupants doesn't automatically justify a protective sweep, right?
yes,
Okay, that it does not.
that is not.
However, in the sworn document, the search warrant affidavit that you signed, you stated that based upon the observed illegal narcotics and the number of occupants is why you went in, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that would be unconstitutional, right? Okay, I'll move on. And so, how this whole thing started is that there is an arrest warrant for this Mr. Smith, right?
Yes,
And Mr. Smith, you all are out there. We've seen the video. We've heard what's said on the body cam. You announced why you're there, right?
yes,
That we're here because we have an arrest warrant for Smith, right?
exactly, yes,
And then at 5 minutes and 53 seconds into this body cam, you get what you're looking for, Mr. Smith, right?
yes,
And at the, he's the first person that comes out of the house.
I believe so.
Okay. And then immediately after Mr. Smith comes out of the house, you order anybody else that's in the house to come out, right?
Yes,
And these 6 or 7 people come out peacefully, unarmed, and then they're detained, right?
yes,
And you didn't hear anything that indicated to you that anybody else was in the house, right?
no,
You didn't see anything that indicated to you that anybody else was in the house, right?
correct.
And how long had you all been conducting surveillance on this residence before you went in and executed the arrest warrant for Smith? Paul.
It was a long time ago. I know they were there the day prior as well.
Okay,
We knew the residents to be multi, all day in and out of the people.
okay. I want to talk about this day. How about roughly how many hours before you had executed the arrest warrant for Smith had you been out there?
Ballpark, 1 or 2.
Okay. Let's split the difference and call it an hour and a half. And in the hour and a half, had you seen any people go into the residence?
I can't recall.
Did you see anybody leave the residence?
I can't recall. My specific duty, if I may, is the takedown team, not the surveillance part.
All right. It wasn't.
That was a lot of words for him. Give him a break, Judge Fleischer. Give him a break. Could you imagine being married to him? Hi, honey. How was your day? Fine. Are you hungry? Yes. Okay. Good talk.
Relayed to you by anybody in the surveillance team that there's 10 people that we saw go in there and there's only 7 that came out. There was none of that information that was relayed to you,
No.
right?
Yeah, I don't recall.
It's a motion to suppress evidence hearing. So it's not a trial. We're pretending that the judge here is young Judge Fleischer and he was a defense attorney. That's what we're doing. We're playing make-believe today.
And if you had received information like that, that would be important information, right?
Yes,
That would be contained in a police report, right?
yes.
And would it surprise you to know it's not contained in any police report in this case?
The lawyer.
The number of people that had gone in where you're conducting surveillance in comparison to the number of people that came out, right?
Yeah, that would surprise me.
Okay. And so, did you, before you had gone into this house, have a specific articulable suspicion that there was any other people in the house posing a danger to the threat at the scene? And I'm not talking about guessing, speculating. Did you have any specific articulable information that anybody else was in the house?
If you're asking if anybody called out.
No, I'm asking. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the quantum of knowledge. I'm not just talking about people calling out. Did you have any specific articulable information that there were any other people in the house?
No,
Did you have any specific or articulable information that there were any dangerous people inside of the house before you went in for the protective sweep?
none that I didn't know.
Okay. Hypothetically speaking, you've gotten a target of the of the arrest warrant, which is Smith, right?
Yes,
At the doorway, and then there's 7 people that have been detained, right?
yes,
Okay. This is a very narrow driveway, closed, kind of like townhouse complex, right?
yes.
It's collectively the team out there. About how many officers are out there?
Ballpark again, 8 to 13.
8 to 13. Okay. Let's call it 11. Split the difference. At least 11 police officers out there.
I love yes.
While at the doorway of the residence, it's collectively the team's position that you see something that you think is contraband at the doorway, small amount of marijuana, right?
Yes,
Okay. And if the sweep hadn't been done, you could have taken the 7 people that were detained outside the driveway of the residence, right?
yes.
You could have left all the units out front, right? And back and were pulled out of the driveway so nobody's in danger, right?
To an extent.
Okay. And then got the search warrant because you saw what you believe constituted probable cause to search, right?
It wouldn't happen that way.
I'm not talking about, I understand it didn't happen that way, but that's certainly something that could have taken place, right?
It could, if there was a danger.
Okay, well, that's what I'm getting at. You didn't have any specific articulable information that there was another person in the house that was armed or dangerous, did you?
Not at that moment.
Okay. Not at any moment that the protective sweep was executed and you all went in, right?
Correct.
Okay. Pass please.
Now,
Thank you, Judge Fleischer. Thank you. Good job.
Officer Spinks, when you're evaluating whether the protective search or protective sweep is appropriate, do you have to show that someone was inside or that they could have been? Why is that? I mean, what is your understanding about why that is what needs to be established?
People that kill and want to kill you, they'll typically tell you first.
And even if you and other officers decided to move the scene and take all the detained people, for processing and identification, would you and other officers still have to conduct full systematic searches of their persons?
Correct.
Why would you need to do that?
Sometimes the threat person comes outside to you, tries to act like he's not a threat or she's not a threat.
Is it dangerous to transport individuals that have not been thoroughly searched?
Yes.
Are officers vulnerable when they place the suspects in the patrol car behind them if that person still has a weapon?
Yes.
And does it take time to properly do that with 6 or 7 suspects at a scene like this?
Yes.
And during that time for that necessary step to be completed, are officers in danger if a protective sweep has not been completed?
Yes. And some parties that are nearby in that close neighborhood.
That's what it is.
When the state was just talking to you, and talking about other scenes in a person potentially being in danger, right?
Yes.
I'm not talking about other scenes. I'm talking about this scene. And just like you testified earlier, you didn't have any specific articulable fact that there was another dangerous person in the house, did you, when you got in?
No.
Last words.
Thank you.
Thank you, your excuse. Anything from Mr. Ward?
No, it's on the civil risk.
Defense rights.
Arguments, briefly?
I'd like to open and then reserve all remaining time for closed, Judge.
All right, 5 minute defense.
I don't even need that one.
Thank you, Judge. So, Judge, just to, before Mr. Silverman has a chance to speak, officers had plenty of reason to believe that there could have been a dangerous person in that residence. The protective sweep is just that, it's protective. We don't have to show that someone was inside. We need to let the officers check so that they can ensure their safety and the safety of everyone else at the scene. There's really several issues here. The first is whether the protective sweep was lawfully executed. I believe the evidence shows that it was. The officers were in and out in about 8 minutes in a 3-story building plus a garage. They were pretty quick. They documented some of the items that they saw, which under the doctrine of plain view, they would have been justified to seize. So certainly it's okay for them to take photographs. And while they conducted the protective sweep, they observed numerous items of narcotics and contraband that would be sufficient for a search warrant, and in fact were when they were the facts were related to the reviewing magistrate. But there's also facts in the search warrant that would be sufficient to establish probable cause, even not considering the items, the things that they observed during the protective sweep. Strong odor of marijuana, the presence of baggies, that's indicated by Officer Dougherty, that's related specifically in the affidavit, as well as items found on Johnny Smith's person. So he's got a large amount of cash in his pocket, and getting information that's included in the affidavit. So there's plenty of reason. There's plenty of probable cause in this warrant. It is not complicated, but it is clearly sufficient, and the reviewing magistrate is owed significant deference in terms of the review. At this time, I'll cut it off and I'll let Mr. Silver say something.
So this is we know at the outset that this is a unconstitutional search of the residence. The question is whether or not there is an exception to the warrant requirement, and the exception that the state's relying on is a protective sweep. And the seminal case from the United States Supreme Court on protective sweeps is Maryland versus Bowie. And that's 494 U.S. 325, 328, 110 Supreme Court at 1093. And most important, at 336, in the opinion, the United States Supreme Court tells us that the protective sweep is not an automatic right the police possess. It is permitted only when justified by reasonable and articulable suspicion that the house is harboring a person posing a danger to those on the arrest scene. And essentially, if you're to believe the state's position that the protective sweep applies in this case, that we're saying is a matter of habit and routine practice, whenever there is an arrest warrant like this executed, that the police officers get a free protective sweep. And there are no specific and articulable facts in this case that would justify that. As a matter of fact, everything is to the contrary. You have these multiple police officers that are out there. There's no testimony in the record.
It's okay. It's going to do it like 2 times, and then it'll
About
stop doing it.
the number of people that had gone in at an earlier
I think this is the last time it does it.
point in time versus the number that had gone out, and that we have this deficit of.
I lie. I always lie. It really doesn't do it. It's
People, and therefore common sense would tell us that 7 people came out 2 hours earlier. We saw 10 people go in, so we know that there's other people. That's a red herring in this case. That doesn't exist. So the police are there at the door, and I think it's very clear that they saw contraband and they wanted to get into the house in the most expeditious manner possible. And you don't have to take my word for it. It's in the affidavit that Officer Spink signed, that he said the reason they went in, that it was based on the observed illegal narcotics.
That's why they went in. They went there for the guy. A bunch of people came out eventually. When the door was open, the police officers saw drugs in the gang house that they knew was a gang house. They saw the drugs there, the weed, right on the table in the living room. So that's why they went in.
And the number of occupants within the residence. And so there is no specific party. This is a big deal. This is a person's home. And we're, what the state's asking you to do is give the police unfettered access without a search warrant to go into the home. And that's why the United States Supreme Court tells us that they have to have specific articulable facts that there's a person. We don't even know that. It isn't even, well, we haven't gotten to the dangerous part. We don't even know if there's another person in there. And number 2, we certainly don't know if they're dangerous. And so it's my position that it's an unconstitutional protective sweep because they don't have any of that. And I posed a scenario to the police officers, and certainly we wouldn't be in this hearing if they had done it, that they have the 7 people, they can back out of the driveway, they can secure the area in the front, not let anybody come and go, and quickly type up a search warrant saying, I saw marijuana at the front door, and probably get that search warrant signed in about 10 minutes. That's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility. And then one thing I want to point out to the court is that the first officer that testified that Rosas had a bedroom in the house, which goes to standing, because there's the evidence, the record is replete with evidence that Rosas at the very least was an overnight guest. And so therefore, by having a bedroom in the house, by staying there like the officer said, he has an expectation of privacy and has a right to object to this unconstitutional search. So we would object pursuant to the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, Article 3823 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 1, Section 9 of the Texas Constitution. We would ask the court to suppress all the evidence that was recovered in the illegal protective suite, all of the marijuana that was recovered. There was a baggie with a controlled substance, and they claimed it was cocaine. The cocaine in this case, all the different devices that I guess they use for credit card fraud, things like that. Every single piece of evidence that they recovered as the unlawful protective suite. The officers got what they wanted. They made an observation of what they saw in the house. But the question, and that's what's in the search warrant, we would get them to the second part of the case, which is the search warrant. But it's our position that the officers were not in a place that they could legally be when they made those observations. And in our second motion to suppress, which is based on the illegal warrant, if the court removes all that evidence that the officers saw when they were not in a place they could legally be, there is no basis for that sort of search warrant. We would make the same objections. Fourth Amendment, 3823 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 1, Section 9 of the Texas Constitution, and also Chapter 14 of the code. We ask our motion to suppress the verdict.
Thank you.
Just to close, counsel referenced Maryland v. Dewey, and I think that he focuses on the wrong aspect of the court's ruling in that case. So, this is on page 7, bottom of section 4, says, protective sweep may be conducted only when justified by a reasonable articulable suspicion that the house is, and he's focusing on the is, but the important part here is the suspicion, right? We don't have to show that they actually were, and officers don't have a crystal ball. You can't unshoot an officer that is ambushed in this type of scene, and so the protective sweep is a reasonable prophylactic. We saw from the video that the officers are professional. They are taking safety steps, not searching steps when they go in and out of that house in terms of where they're looking. And, there is abundant evidence that there was a potentiality for danger, and you can see that language used in section 5, also on page 7 of Maryland v. Dewey. Similar language is used by the Texas courts. So Resort v. State, which is 12 Southwest 3rd 813, says that protective sweep is as long as reasonable to dispel the reasonable suspicion of danger. This isn't just a random house in the Heights. This is a known gang location where gang members with warrants for aggravated robberies and murders have been seen coming and going. Officers have every reason to believe that their safety is in jeopardy. The warrant, I believe, has sufficient probable cause, even if those facts are excluded, but certainly the officers acted reasonably in terms of affecting the protective sweep of the residents. And, the items in plain view bolster the warrant, but the warrant, between the two prongs of what they see outside of the protective sweep and what they see within the protective suite, both should be considered and were by the magistrate, but either one alone, I think, would be sufficient.
Thank you. I did see that it was amended, but I didn't get from our review a copy of the first warrant. I think that was our state's 7.
Paintbrush?
Yes, thank you. And then also the body cam videos. I'd like to review both of those. Okay. So I need to read the case law that has been provided, but I would like to reset this to Friday, and certainly the attorneys can appear with them or however they like for revision.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, thank you. All right, excuse me.
Get a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
Yeah, there's another one. Okay.
Mr. Ford, I don't think that I heard, that's what I had, Mr. Silverman had the site of 494 US 325, 338, and even the Supreme Court version, the one including SB 1093.
Okay, I don't know if that's the one you sent.
I think I got hard copies of all the cases. Okay, yeah, 4 applicable cases at least.
Okay, so I do have them. All right, thank you.
And Judge, you have all the exhibits?
We give you the body cam, and then I'll give the rest of these to the reporter. Unless you don't.
I'm just giving all to her and I'll keep that. Come and get that.
Great. That's just a minute. You can get the rest of it.
Yeah, but then you're saying that if they see drugs, that they have to just turn around and walk away? Like I see, a bag of marijuana in that living room, but I got the guy who came for the warrant, but I saw the drugs. I know. So, yeah, I mean, aren't you all getting ready for Oktoberfest? Okay, there's 2 days in a year. 2. There's St. Patrick's Day and there's Oktoberfest. We just finished St. Patrick's Day. So it's time to start drinking for Oktoberfest.
So if y'all, when y'all system back up, now if your system went down and you have already filed dismissals, Mr. Ford, there's a minute ago, prosecutor, if the system has gone down and y'all have filed dismissals, can I sign them in the process, or if they get down where y'all can't do it, I need to ask the prosecutor.
If they've been filed, you should be able to sign them in the executive.
They're not in yet, but
So they're not gonna can we just have, Mr. Rowe email or paper?
Email them or
paper?
Should be able to, yeah, I think so. If you need help, let me know. I'm happy to try to facilitate.
Okay, then, no, I'm sure Google's typically very available, but I just need the people that can get out of jail, so I just don't want to slip through the cracks.
Of course.
Okay, so we're done. All right. I was watching everything. Okay, thank
So those are the ones in order.
Okay, thank you.
I was
And this is
eight.
That's 8 is the USB.
Yeah, we're certified if they do something about IAC.
You know, just a weird one.
Yeah, I know.
I was looking for it. Yes, thank you.
And then, I had I tried a second on road, and I had 4 daughter, 38, 37 extraneous, that were playing in that case was the hallway, and the state didn't offer. And so I got, a much call based on IAC. And, in my case, it's like I really didn't have trial strategy, sound trial strategy. But with these cases, those 6 cases, it's always a movie and up until the second the thing's going to testify. And in any of those cases, I always prepare to testify because I can't, we just finished one. And it was literally at the last second that the decision was made because you have to listen to all the testimony. But I think that anything like this case, you have to get. It's, because it really just comes up all, it is the most common, it's the biggest struggle in those cases. Because it's just, it comes down to based on playing and looking at the jury and getting through what am I going to do right now? Am I there or not? If you're not, you've got to be ready to come up there.
I understand what you're saying, that there's just the difference, but perhaps, but.
And then, I mean, so in the like in the Supreme Court case that just came out today from Obama on the death penalty, the state had a witness to testify, and after the witness testified, it was off the stand.
Oh, Judge, I was listening to that. Judge, you did us dirty. I wanted to know what he said. Why is it that everything in that courtroom had that horrible echo, except for that damn security guard coughing? Every time he coughed, we heard that crystal freaking clear. You probably can't hear me crystal clear right now. I don't even know how bad it is. I don't know how bad my microphone is right now. But it's interesting because I thought it was open and closed. In my head, as soon as they saw the marijuana, then that gave them the right to enter that premises. And to be able to enter the premises, they had to make sure there was no one hiding in there ready to shoot them, because it's a gang house. there's lots of, guns there. So in my head, there's nothing that's getting thrown out. But people in chat are saying that no, they went there for a warrant. As soon as that guy walked out of the house, everything else is done. I don't know. I think that they had every single right to go into that house. And I think that he was a very, very, very acceptable Judge Fleischer. When I was watching that, I wasn't going to play that video at all because, I didn't know if you guys could imagine it like I did. But every time I went to delete that video, I thought, no, he really, really made me feel like I was finally getting to see Judge Fleischer in action. So I went with it. And no one told me to turn it off. No one said, this is really boring. Turn it off. So I'm glad. I played that. Now we're going to go to the real Judge Fleischer, the better one, because he is way better than what we saw there. He just is. That guy wasn't enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know what that sound was. Didn't sound good though, so I'm nervous. I'm nervous. What if the whole video is bad? I know I struggle with the Judge Fleischer part right now because I feel so bad because some of you have already seen it live, and then you've seen it live with Bill, and then you've probably seen it in Lone Wolf or a couple other places, and now I'm playing it again. But he's mine, So I want to play him. It's hard. I struggle. I don't want to give up Judge Fleischer. But I feel bad for you people who've seen him 7 times already today. Yeah, and there are some people who only watch it here. That's it. They don't watch it on the other channels because, they're in a different time zone or whatever. They watch it here. So let's go. There's the real Judge Fleischer. And hopefully we get to hear Victoria. I sent her a stalker text before she went to work today, but she didn't see it till after work. It was creepy. It was a stalker text. Victoria's strong though. She took it like a champ.
Puede sentarse, señora. Puede bajar la mano.
I don't know what that is, so I'm going to fast forward it because I don't like it.
Why do people mess with stuff?
Okay. All right. He sounds good.
Mr. Lester.
Oh, by the way.
The radio. Oh, he's
The
off.
cat bit my cord. The cat bit my cord.
I don't touch it. No, I don't. I never touch the computer stuff. If I put the audio here, it feeds back.
I'm glad you put an S
because there's a speaker. So if I put
because I'm gonna need more than one beer. I'm gonna need more than one beer at a time. I want 2. Double fisted. I don't know if there's a bar in the hotel that we're at. Does anybody know if there is a bar in the hotel we're staying at? I really need to know. I'm hoping. I don't want to walk around at 2 a.m., but I will. I'm not that adverse to it. All right, let's get to some court cases. Thank you so much, Fossey. Thank you. Sorry, you said beers. I got distracted and I forgot to say thank you. Don't distract me.
this here as well, so it'll be 2.
The officer observed the defendant's vehicle.
The red-handed.
I'm going to the beginning.
Do you speak English?
He does.
I barely speak English.
We're just here to let our idea.
I had someone here with the same last name not too long ago, actually.
Yeah, this. Guru Viates, actually. No,
Morning, sir. Sir, you are charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Sorry, Your Honor. I think I got the wrong cause number.
I booked my flight I paid for my hotel room. So, and I booked my flight home. So, yeah, I am going to be there in Texas. I get there. I don't remember what time my plane lands, but I land on the 27th. And then I leave on the 28th, I think at like 6 p.m. So I'll be able to watch court all day Friday. And I really hope that I get to watch. Listen, all I really, really want to do besides the beer is sit in the gallery and watch court. I want to so badly. I've been to Texas twice and I have not watched one thing in that courtroom yet. All I want to do, I don't want to sit up by the judge. I don't want to be a part. I want to watch like people in the gallery do. It's really all I really want to do. Mike, are you trying to kill me? Oh yeah. Oh man. I forgot to tell you guys. I am not streaming next week for a couple days next week. And I don't know which days they are yet. I mean, I should be fine on the 26th. Hold on, let me pull up a calendar. 26th is Wednesday, and I said I don't stream on Wednesdays. So maybe I will stream on Wednesday. Normally I won't stream Wednesdays anymore, but next week, because I'm going to be off the next few days, I will stream on Wednesday. I will not stream on Thursday. I will not stream on Friday, and I will not stream on Saturday. Sunday's iffy. We'll see, because I'm going to be in Texas. That's awesome. Guys, listen. Tomorrow, can you just go to Bill's live of Judge Fleischer and like it, please? We should get way more than 100 likes on there. 200. It's Judge Fleischer. You guys love Judge Fleischer. I don't want to sit in a jury box. I almost want to go in like a big floppy hat and sunglasses so no one knows that I'm even there. Or I get a bowl cut. I have my wig. Okay, that is 2 times now. That is yesterday and that is today. That somebody asked me to drink beer from a straw. No. No, I'm not drinking beer from a straw. I am never going to drink beer from a straw. You can't make me. I don't know. My cat's not happy that I'm making so much noise. Shut up. Fight me. 1v1 me. I'm scared. Okay, yeah, vodka I'll drink through a straw. Yes, that's perfectly fine. Anything else is perfectly fine. I'll even drink wine through a straw, but I am not drinking beer through a straw. No, absolutely not. All right. Yeah, Kelly knew it right away yesterday. Micah said, put beer in a hat, one of those hat things. No. My whole life revolves around treating beer with respect. And you want me to put it through a straw. That cat has comments, all right.
It's 2-555-746.
Oh, that's not a phone number. So I work in a craft brewery. And I don't know if you guys know this about craft beers, but they're not very foamy. They're just, sometimes they can be very, very, very foamy. But like when you tap a Bud or a Coors, you pretty much always get the same amount of, I'm sticking with foam on this one, guys. I am sticking with foam. Because, this is PG channel. But with craft beers, sometimes when you first tap a keg, you'll get a little bit of foam. Now, suds isn't the right words either. But normally with craft beers, I'm just going to say it, you do not get a lot of head. I give no head with my beers, just so you know. My beers, when I deliver a beer to a customer, it is filled to the tippy, 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 tippy top of that glass with zero head. Sometimes there is, sometimes, I'm just saying sometimes, but at most every single beer that I deliver there's no air. I mean, they struggle to lift up the glass because it is full. You get a beer from me, every single inch of that glass is filled with beer.
On March 15th, 2025, at approximately 2:15 a.m., the officer observed the defendant's vehicle failing to maintain a single lane of traffic. They also observed the vehicle to signal a lane change, failed to signal a lane change multiple times. A traffic stop was then conducted. The vehicle pulled over and the officer made contact with the defendant, the driver, and sole occupant of the vehicle. The officer observed a strong odor of alcohol on the defendant's breath and person. The officer then had the defendant step out, and they observed the defendant to have red, glassy eyes and be unsteady on his feet. The defendant stated that he had one beer at a friend's house. The officer conducted SFSTs on scene. 6 out of 6 clues were observed on the HGN. 4 out of 8 clues were observed on the walk-in turn, and 1 out of 4 clues were observed on the one-leg stand. The DIC was read to the defendant, and the defendant consented to provide a breath specimen. The results were 0.136 and 0.139.
What was the stop for again?
The stop was...
Some people do complain that beer is flat. And depending on where you are in the keg and the humidity and, what month you're in, you could be right. It's a craft beer. So everything affects it. Everything, it's not like the chemicals that you get in Bud and Coors that keep it exactly like it is every day. This is a craft beer. It's like sometimes when it gets humid, you can't get it carbonated. It's just impossible. And the hazies get so hazy. I mean, sometimes I show the people, I'll take the beer and I'll put it down on the grate, and then I'll just pour without even picking the glass up at all. And then I'll bring them a beer with no head on. I said, see, I'm telling you, it's just the way it is.
At 2:15 in the morning, he was failing to maintain a single lane of traffic, and then he also failed to signal a lane change multiple times.
All right, Mr. Turrubiates, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. Can you run him to see if he has any prior DWIs, please, and a license?
He does have a license and insurance, Your Honor, no prior history.
No prior DWIs.
All right. I am ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using, your bond will be revoked. You will go to jail. No more PR bonds. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Because you have a lawyer.
Sounded like he just said his wand would be revoked. And that's not funny, Judge.
I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court, but you must stay in touch with counsel, and he'll tell you if and when you have to come back to court. If he tells me he can't get a hold of you, you pick up a new case, you drive without a license, or it's not going to go well. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll have you sign a receipt of Victoria. You'll get with Felicia for your bond conditions, and you guys are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks.
Can I have excuse?
Take care.
Morning,
Hey,
Judge.
good morning. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing? Yeah. I have David Duran on the docket,
Okay.
and if the court has the time, I'd like to address the probable cause.
Okay. Absolutely. Of course. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, please.
On January 11th, 2025, an officer was on patrol and observed the odor of marijuana and a male to be smoking in a motor vehicle nearby the 8,700 block of Lazy Brook Lane. The officer activated his emergency lights and positioned himself behind the motor vehicle and made contact with the defendant. The officer had the defendant step out of the motor vehicle and advised the defendant that he had been observed smoking marijuana. The defendant stated he was smoking marijuana inside the motor vehicle because he did not want to smoke inside his friend's home. The officer observed the strong odor of marijuana. A probable cause search was conducted of the motor vehicle and the officer observed small crumbs of a green leafy substance known to be marijuana based on training and experience at the bottom of the center console of 0.37 grams and a small marijuana joint in the ashtray of the cup holder. The officer observed an unholstered black Glock handgun laying in plain view on the backseat floor. The defendant stated the handgun belonged to him.
So the way she's read it, there is probable cause. However, the way I read the DIMS, the officer initiates his lights first and then approaches the vehicle, sees him smoking, observes the odor. And then, so I think he's made
if that was right, yeah, but the way that she read it, and perhaps maybe you saw something different, I don't know.
Reading the DA's summary of it, I don't think she actually read the DIMS version, which is what I read.
Oh, I can read directly from the DIMS if you would like me to, Judge.
Maybe I think you should, because the way I read it, it was the stop first and then the observation that he's smoking marijuana.
I'll read the DIMS.
Well, but nevertheless, I mean, is that what happened?
So I'm looking at it right now and I'm seeing that the vehicle was observed to be parked on the public roadway. He observed the male, he observed a male sitting.
Oh my gosh, this looks like the last lawyer we just saw so hard, doesn't it? Okay, maybe not, but to me it does.
In the vehicle, and it was parked on a public roadway. Upon observing the male, he positioned himself behind the vehicle to make contact with him upon approaching the vehicle.
And then initiated his lights.
Yes, he activated his lights before he positioned himself behind the vehicle.
I mean, sometimes they're incomplete, you know.
Yeah, the way I read it, he puts his lights on, gets behind the car, approaches him, sees him smoking, and then.
I mean, right, you can't put the cart ahead of the horse, but I mean, in that instance, I think that if he sees him smoking, right?
Yes, Judge, and I think that issue.
Smells it.
My argument is that he sees him smoking and smells it
Oh.
after he's been detained. He's not free to leave at that point because he's positioned his car behind the vehicle, put his lights on, he's detained.
I don't know. From what she read, I think there's probably.
Yeah, and in the first sentence, it says that he observed the smell of marijuana and the male to be smoking in the vehicle nearby.
Maybe we can look at the video and see
Do
how
that.
it really
Do it.
happened. Okay.
Take a look at the video. You see something different, you can always come back to
Sure.
it. And I'm always willing to see it again.
Okay, thank you for doing that, Judge. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It's just so freaking quiet in here without CJ and Nan. And Lori. Lori's lurking, I hope. And then I'm going to make her come and take. All right, we miss you.
Council will reset.
Oh my goodness.
I know, she was. Hi, Rose. All right, let's get some more people. I'm going to sing this song.
Diversion.
Yes, I know.
I'm not gonna just blindly reset someone if he's not done anything, you know. Mr. Melendez, you were placed on the diversion program and you're here now because there are violations. What's going on, Shatori, with Mr. Melendez?
Well, they aren't asking for an extension. They're just making the court aware that he's averaging 1 to 15 skip tests each month. The probation officer has talked to him about it, and he's saying it's because he forgets due to his work schedule. He's currently enrolled in IOP, and he has to complete the DWI education and cleaning goods. And he's set to do that on March 26th.
Okay, I'll agree with you. We'll put the scram on him now.
I think that'll solve.
Failed to pay for it. If the battery goes dead, so will this case. I'm not going to entertain anything else. You have any more violations, that's it. Do you understand? You will be put to trial. Okay,
I was gonna see if we could waive the court costs on this, because he is providing for his family, and I was appointed.
he's in the program. I can't pay for it.
Oh, it's the PTI.
If he's on bond for something, then I can pay for it, but he's in the PTI program. You're responsible for all the costs. Now you're going to foot a bill of $500 a month for this thing. I mean, actions have consequences. And I'm telling you, if you fail to keep up with this device, the first instance, and I'd like to keep up, on a weekly basis, just to make sure you're out. That's it. Okay, Hugh.
Okay.
All right. So, we'll send him today to get it. All right, Hugh. Thanks.
Can you screen the page? Sure. I don't printed out a list of places.
Mr. Lester.
Yes, Your Honor. I just got off the phone with your coordinator and I'm putting together the evidence that you want to see.
So you just want to reset, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, Your Honor. He's still in immigration custody and will be at least until March 27.
Did you get a bond?
No, that's when the next hearing is. We're going through the bond process.
Got it. Okay, so just keep us in the loop, and then if he gets out, just have him come here, please.
Okay.
And then you want the day after that, March? You want the 28th?
Well,
okay, yeah, no problem.
A few days after that would be fine.
We got you.
Did you want him to send the proof or not?
I mean, you're an officer of the court. I trust you. I mean, if you're telling me he's in, then I'm going to take you for your word, right? If we find that he's out, we'll have a problem. But as long as you say that he's in, you're an officer of the court. I trust you.
He's in. Last thing I want to do is be on the hot list of an angry judge.
Yeah, I trust you, Mr. Lester. Okay, we'll give you the 31st and good luck, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Take care.
They filed in her.
Yeah.
She's out.
Don't mess with the judge, lady. Whatever you do, don't mess with the judge.
Yes, sir. Okay. You are Brianna Beck.
Yes.
Ms. Beck, you are now charged with theft. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Judge, can I get the case number, please?
255-3536.
3536?
Ready?
Yes. On December 17th, 2024, an officer reviewed an offense report of a theft on September 17th, 2024. According to the report, the complainant reported that the defendant, known to the complainant by name and site, stole 2 espresso machines on August 9th, 2024. The complainant stated the defendant committed the theft at 3 other store locations. The officer reviewed documents that there were theft incidents at 4 home goods locations. The first incident occurred outside of Harris County, Texas. The second incident was investigated by the Harris County Precinct 4 Constable's Office. The third incident occurred on August 9th, 2024, where the defendant and an unidentified female entered the home goods and entered the line to make a merchandise return. Once in line, the defendant ran toward the back, where she selected 3 sets of sheets and then walked to the front of the store and rejoined the female in line. The defendant then placed the sheets on the counter and provided the cashier with her state ID. The system denied the non-receipted refund due to excessive returns without a receipt. The merchandise was then returned to the defendant. The defendant and the unidentified female then left the store, passing all points of sale without attempting to pay. The value was $599.99. The fourth incident occurred on August 9th, 2024. The defendant arrived alone at another Home Goods location and proceeded into the store with an empty shopping cart. The defendant selected 2 espresso machines and then walked to the front of the store and passed all points of sale without attempting to pay, and the security sensors went off. The value was $999.98. The officer reviewed the surveillance footage from the third and fourth incidents and compared them to the defendant's previous booking photo, and they were a match.
All of Marshall's Home Goods, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, she's on bond for a theft. She's on bond for a gun case with us now. Where is the first theft?
The first theft is from a Walmart judge. $121.
Ms. Beck, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case, and I'm going to tell you now, I will do everything in my power to protect every person, place, thing in this county. And if I have to put you in custody and make your bond $50,000 because you continue to become a danger to our city, I will do it in a heartbeat. Do you understand me? I'm ordering you not to go to any Walmart, any Marshall's, Home Goods, in anywhere. And I'm going to put a GPS monitor on you so I know where you are at all times. You are not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. And I'm sending you now for a test so I know what, if anything, is in your system. You're to test and then you're to come right back. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a job at this time? What do you do for a living?
I'm a reservationist.
Okay, I want proof that you have a full-time job because that is now a condition of your bond as well. I want to make sure that you're working full-time as well.
And Your Honor, the defendant is also a complainant in this court as well. I need to bring up, we've reassigned these cases so that we can deal with it, and so it's on separate prosecutors. Like, I have the other defendant's case assigned to me, and Abigail is assigned this case.
I mean,
She is
you
listed
guys are,
as, so she is listed as the complainant in a separate case also in court 5.
in what regard?
So she,
Like in an assault or something like this, of this nature?
yes, it's an assault, Your Honor. And to.
Okay, so you got, I mean, you divvy it up how you want.
Yes.
Is that I don't want her to pick up 4th case.
Right.
No, we just want to
Sure,
make you
that-
aware, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm also ordering you not to be in possession of any weapons. Do you understand? These are your bond conditions. You violate these conditions, I'm going to revoke all of your bonds and I don't understand why you're having attitude. You have now 3 cases. You're rolling your eyes as if you have some kind of. We need to talk about bond. What do you suggest as far as a bond in this case, on the newest theft case?
We would suggest a surety bond on the case, Judge, and leave it up to your discretion in terms of amount, but I don't think a PR bond would be appropriate here.
Well, if you do make it a surety bond, we could ask for it to be low. She did show up here on her own volition today. And I think she's at least for today showing the right attitude about how to handle this from here on in.
Set your bond at $2,500. Cash surety. No more PR bonds. Do you understand? I want to send her for a drug test right now. So Felicia,
Judge, I can't send her until the bond has been posted, or else they'll take her into custody.
okay, then I'm going to give her a PR bond for now because I want to send her right now.
Yes, Judge. I'll still have to wait till the trial starts.
Yep, go for it. Okay, I'm going to set the bond at $2,500. I'm going to give her a PR bond because I want to send her for a test now. You were to test and then to come back. Do you understand? Not leave until you sign our bond conditions. Please take a seat.
Do I have to be back here when she returns?
No, I'm not. I want to know what, if anything, is in her system, but I want proof within a week of today of full-time employment. Okay. And then depending on what happens with the test, when we come back in a week, we'll talk about how to go further.
Did no one else see what I just saw on our screen here?
Okay.
I'm gonna rewind it.
Then depending on what to come back. Do you understand? Not leave until you sign our bond conditions. Please take a seat.
Here we go.
Do I have to be back here when she returns?
No, I'm not. I want to know what, if anything, is in her system, but I want proof within a week of today of full-time employment. Okay. And then depending on what happens with the test, when we come back in a week, we'll talk about how to go further.
Officer.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm looking to see if she came back. I don't.
Yeah.
I
So.
don't know. Just looking to see if she. Like I saw it. Oh no, where is she? We can't miss her. Oh no, she didn't come back. An angel. There's an angel. Did I just miss her? And did she come back? Micah, you were there. Do you remember? Oh, that looks like it's a good one. Let's go. Let's watch him.
Judge, are you ready for an arraignment? I'm just got here.
Sure.
All right, page 19, Jones, come on up. Elmo. Officer.
Right, stuff like that. Everything like that. This way. Everything like that. Now I gotta find the judge. Hands out of your pocket.
Now.
So Jones, what time does court start?
What was that, sir?
What time does court start?
It starts at, I believe, at 8:30, Your Honor. I deal with the mental MHMR.
Try to get here on time.
I will.
Not only that, this is now your second PR bond.
Yes, sir. I see.
Fail to appear one more time, it's not going to go well for you. Do you understand? We don't continue to give PR bond after PR bond after PR bond after PR bond. We don't do that.
Absolutely.
Wait a second. Is he wearing the same suit as the lawyer did from the last video? Okay, I know he's not wearing the same tie, even though I don't remember what the tie was. But is he wearing the same suit?
Okay. You're charged with theft.
Yes, sir.
Facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Absolutely.
On February 11th, 2025, at approximately 4:48 p.m., an officer met with the complainant, who is the supervisor for a roofing company. The complainant stated the defendant is a friend and had been working with the company for about a week. The complainant stated that on February 11th at 8 a.m., the defendant was supposed to be at a job but never showed. The complainant called the defendant, and the defendant stated he was at the hospital but would not give the complainant the location of where he was at currently. The defendant eventually met up with the complainant to give him the keys to the company vehicle, and the defendant's employment was terminated. The complainant pulled over and did an inventory search of the vehicle and noticed tools and equipment went missing. The complainant called the defendant and asked where the tools and equipment were, and the defendant stated,
You should never, ever, never steal from your employer.
he removed them so his girlfriend would not take them. The complainant called the defendant multiple times to get the tools, but the defendant blocked his calls and did not answer. The total value stolen was $2,000. The complainant stated 6 hours passed attempting to contact the defendant, and the officer tried to contact the defendant, and the defendant did not answer. The officer ran the defendant's information given by the complainant, and the complainant positively identified him by a photograph.
Mr. Jones, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case and not to be in possession of weapons. Do you understand?
I do not, because I don't know who the witness is. What is their name?
Person that you were working for at the construction company that gave you the car.
What was their name, Honor, please?
Tristan Weathers.
Tristan Weathers? Well, on my paperwork, it says Tristan Sanders. I don't know who Tristan Sanders is. So Tristan Weathers and Tristan Sanders are two different people.
I'll file it under bond conditions as Tristan Weathers. I'm not sure. I can look. See if there's already.
I was showing the paper. Oh, paperwork. Yes, sir. This is paperwork. Say his name on
The
it.
judge requested, nothing comes out.
It does say Tristan Sanders on the,
It says Tristan Weather here on the complaint.
okay, yes, and I believe that is his name, but on the bond conditions, it's stated as Tristan Sanders.
I don't want you to have contact with this person. Do you understand?
Tristan Sanders, Your Honor, or Tristan Weathers?
Weathers.
It said Tristan Sanders on the thing, so I'm
I'm
confused.
telling you now, I don't want you to have contact with the complaining witness in this case, whoever it may be.
No problem. He's on parole for 60 years. I don't even want to go around the guy. Yes, sir. But on the paperwork, it says Tristan Sanders, and they have that property. But my lawyer, Val Zudini, is going to talk to you or talk to you, represent me. It's just so much stuff, and I'm dealing with. I suffer with PTSD PTSD, and I'm hyper. So I'm just trying to take in all the emotions. I'm not mad at you, Your Honor. I apologize for being late to court. I was in the Navy, and I've been to the penitentiary. So I duly apologize.
Relax.
Yes, sir.
No one's going to do anything to you here.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I want is I want my city protected.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm going to do everything in my power to protect it. I want you to understand that. Do not pick up any new cases.
Yes, sir.
Be nice to everybody that you go around.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not, it's probably not going to go well. Exercise patience and things will go well for you.
Absolutely. It has.
Patience is my
Thank you.
middle
Do
name.
you have the ability to hire a lawyer, or would you like to apply for a court-appointed lawyer?
As of right now, you can give me a court appointed, but I'm going to hire Val Zudini. But Val, I just due to the simple fact I'm trying to get a protective order. That's why I was late last time because my
Just don't talk. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, they're going to use it against you. So it's best not.
That's
I'll
cool.
provide you a lawyer today.
It's true.
Tell everything that you want to say to the lawyer, and then they can come and talk to me if they need.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? Just don't miss any court dates
Yes, Your Honor.
and stay in contact with the lawyer that we give you.
I have a question though. So the last time I came, I was my fiance.
You haven't come here.
Yeah,
It was the first time that you've come here.
Correct. I'm incorrect. I came the last time at 12:30 because my ex-fiance had my cell phone. I talked to one of the ladies in the back, and I talked to her.
Hold on, Mr. Jones. I don't want you to say anything else. Let me give you a lawyer.
This is my second, I don't want you to know, this is my second time coming. I came to court, I just came late.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I know.
Let me give you a lawyer. Just hang tight for me, be patient, and then we'll find you someone, okay?
No problem. Thank you, sir.
Don't leave until you sign our bond conditions.
I'm not going anywhere, sir.
Thanks. Not yet. We need them to file. Oh, I already have them. I got them.
I talked to you last time. This is what I talked to right here.
We just need you to sign a reset real quick. You're good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Come back. I went downstairs.
Ms. Fonseca, come up. Lori Gooch. Lori,
Gooch, come on up, Lori.
you're up.
I'm sorry.
No, she's fast.
Good morning, Ms. Fonseca. Ma'am, you're charged with assault of a family member. You have worked out an agreement. They're offering you 90 days in jail with credit for the 35 that you have already done. You need to understand that there are a lot of serious things that are happening right now. You're pleading guilty to this offense. This offense will go on your record. There's also an affirmative finding of family violence. What that means is that if you ever pick up another case like this, you will be facing a third-degree felony, a minimum of 2 years in prison, a maximum of 10 years in prison. And it doesn't have to be a drag-down fight. You just squeeze the arms enough to where it hurts. You're looking at up to 10 years in prison. You understand? You could never own a gun or ammunition as a result of this plea as well. You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses, testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied
Did we see her before?
naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty, this will go on your record. You can never take it off. Is this what you want to do? Are you on probation or parole at this time?
I just started probation on the 17th of March. I just pled out to a felony CW and got deferred, but she's going to a program. Yeah.
I love that dress.
Make use of that program. If you have some kind of addiction issues or whatnot,
Sir.
I'm telling you, there's only so many times they're going to let you go before they send you to prison.
Sir.
You understand?
I understand.
All right. Good luck, man. Thank you, Ms. Gooch.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, it's John.
Hi, guys.
All right, guys. She didn't come back, so we don't know what the test is going to be, but we sort of know what the test is going to be. Guys, thank you so much for coming out today. I really appreciate it. Or do I do? No, the other lady. The two hams lady. Two of you got that. All right. Nicki Minaj lady. I did it again. I forgot to redirect. So I'm gonna mumble and talk about nothing while I'm putting my redirect up, and you guys won't even know that I forgot to put my redirect up. There we go. I'm gonna see a couple of you in OJ, and I'll see the rest of you tomorrow. Thank you so Stop. Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye. I just ordered a new headset in case this one doesn't work while we were doing this stream. So come hell or high water, it'll get better real soon. Bye, guys.